Hey, good evening. Welcome to Sacred Conversations with Guys Night. I am your host, Will McEwen. I am here with, as always, give me just a minute here. Let's switch it over to Ray. Ray, welcome.
Thank you for having us back again.
And also completing the ensemble is Sean over at the far end. Sean, how you doing tonight, brother?
Doing well.
Awesome. And tonight we got a special guest for you right here in Ohio, Christian rapper, Logue. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I'm excited to hear a little bit about your story. So I came across you, I don't know, maybe a week ago over on TikTok, of course. And I was like, dang, this dude's from Ohio. I was like, we got to get him on the show and talk to him a little bit. So
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, man. How did you get started? Where you're at now, where you came from, and just a little bit of background for everybody.
Absolutely. So I guess my story kind of starts out with from a young age. I mean, I was adopted at 4 years old. So I think like abandonment is like the word there. And it kind of, I think that carried on throughout my life. And it was just kind of hard to come to terms with, growing up without my biological father in a way. Now, like I said, I got adopted at 4, and that's my dad now, you know, and he took great care of me, and I love him. But there's always that, kind of a little bit of like, okay, where's my place in the world type thing.
Like, why didn't somebody want me type thing?
Yeah. And it didn't only stop there. That was just the beginning. It was kind of okay. So he actually gave me up at I think, I don't know the story exactly. No one's really talked to me about it. But I think it was about 18 months when my mom met the guy that adopted me, my dad.
Okay.
So
your mom's always been in your life.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
awesome.
I'll get to that too.
All right.
So yeah, that makes the story a little bit more. Like I said, the abandonment kind of travels along. But so yeah, at 18 months, my mom, I guess she left my biological father because he had problems with drinking. He also had his own thing where I guess he had other priorities in his life than me or his family. So I guess he kind of, maybe it was like a mutual thing there. And so at 18 months, I meet my dad. And at 4 years old, I'm pretty sure is when like the adoption got finalized. And all I really remember from that day is I'm 4 years old. I'm sitting and I see this man come up, and that was my biological father, but I didn't know it at the time. And I think I'm sitting there with my mom. I don't remember who I was sitting there with. I think I was sitting there with my mom or my adoptive dad. But I just remember this man in front of me. I'm sitting on the bench here in the halls of the courthouse, and I just remember this man all red-faced crying. He's giving me up today, and he's like saying goodbye to me and like hugging me, and I don't really know what's going on. I don't remember anything else from that day.
Right.
But that. And the funny thing, or not funny thing, but the weird thing about it is every time I looked back on that day, I couldn't even see a face. Like in my memories, I couldn't even see a face. It's just red, crying, tears, and off he goes. And I think it was like at 18 years old or 19 years old, somewhere around there, when I recalled that memory, the face like became me.
Right.
And I guess I'm a spitting image of him. So it was kind of weird to see, like, I'm sitting here like watching myself cry over like leaving me.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it felt like. But that was the first time I actually put an image to like who was in front of me there. And he tried when I was 18. When I turned 18, I came out to my car, and he was waiting there.
Oh wow.
He tried to give me his number and everything. But I took it and everything, but I wasn't planning on calling him. I kind of would feel like it'd be a betrayal to my adoptive dad, because I love him. He loves me. Right. He's the one that took care of me. And my biological father would try to reach out to me, but I'm just like, look, man, I mean, we can't really have a relationship. I mean, you already gave that up.
Yeah,
And I
it's interesting, like you say that, because like I think to myself, I'm like, okay, well, like it's one thing if your mom's husband or man, like he wants to be a part of your life and stuff like that. But I feel like as a father, you cross like if you want to be in that your kid's life still, even if you don't see him for years and years, that's one thing. But like that actual act of giving up,
yeah,
like you're basically saying, I'm not your father
yeah,
legally
right.
anymore. Like that's like a total different level of like, how are you gonna come back into my life later? But
Exactly. And that's the way I see it too. But to like kind of come off of that a little bit and come back to like with my mom's situation and everything. So you know, she gets married to my adoptive dad and they have my brother Kyle, and that was in 1997. So not even shortly after that, I don't even remember how long their marriage lasts. I think I was probably 8 by the time they had a divorce finalized. Maybe I was a little bit older. So not only really am I losing my father, but now I'm losing my mother. I mean, and we still see her because she's in Ohio, but now there's a custody battle with, okay, I'm in this new home with this new dad, and now my mom's walking out, or, you know, and
wow.
so she just didn't really have a stable life either. So it's kind of crazy. Usually the mom wins custody battles.
Right.
And especially you would think, because that's my adoptive father.
Well, that's what I was thinking in my head as you're
But
telling the
he
story.
won. He won the custody battle
Wow.
because he just had his stuff. It was kind of like a split decision, and it ultimately came down to like the judge asked me and my brother what we wanted.
Yeah.
Because if I was the judge, I'd be a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to do. I mean, this is his real mom. They got another kid, and it's their kid, but then there's this other kid that is adopted, and so he kind of just left it up to us, and we were like, we're established, we're young, but we got all our friends in school, and this is the neighborhood that we know. And I was just like, I want to stay with my dad. I want to stay with my dad. So he got custody, and we were seeing our mom. I think it was like Tuesday and Thursday, and then every other weekend.
Now this is, you said you're about 8 right now?
I believe I could have been a little bit older.
Yeah.
Maybe like 9, 10. I can't remember exactly what age I was, but I think I was like in the 9, 10 maybe age. But yeah, so then I mean, to up to like 12 years old, then my mom just like completely moves out of state. I believe she went to Arizona, and then after that she went to South Carolina. So the only time I never went to Arizona, but I don't know how long she was there, but the only time we would see her is 6 weeks in the summer.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
That's like a visit.
yeah. And it was
Yeah.
I mean, it was great, and I love my mom, and I don't really want to say that she abandoned me, but it's kind of like that, you know, like she chose kind of other things with whatever was going on in her life at the time. She made that decision to go on and do that. So, but that, I mean, that's not the end of my story, because
Oh yeah. How old are you now?
I'm 31.
All right. So yeah, you're talking 20 years ago, but
Yeah,
obviously that's
yeah.
one way to kind of start your life. It's a rough way for a kid to grow up and
Yeah.
kind of trying to figure himself out. And
Definitely.
now, you know, your parents aren't even in the picture who are what you're made of, right? Like they each made responsible for you being the person you are as far
Yeah.
as physically. But your adopted dad's raising you.
Yeah.
And
I have the closest relationship with my adoptive dad.
Yeah.
Like people don't even believe me when I say I'm adopted. Simply, one, they're like, you look like him. So what do you mean you're adopted? And it's like, I'm telling you, man, I'm adopted.
Right.
I'm not lying to you. I'm
Mom
not
had
gonna
a
make
type,
that
bro.
up.
What do you want?
Yeah, mom had a type. She did. But yeah, I'm really close with my dad, and I love him with all my heart. He it's crazy to think that he could take somebody in and just raise them like his own. And I wasn't the only one. He has 2 other stepkids, and he probably would have took my sisters in too. I don't know what happened there. I think, you know, their dad wouldn't allow it or whatever.
Right.
But I think, and plus the divorce with mom anyway, you know. So I think there was conversation about like he wanted to take them in too. So this guy, he's just an amazing guy, and he does the same with animals. He's the same way with animals. Like I don't know how many stray cats that he just takes in, and like this is kind of sad because this one just passed away recently, but like he found a cat he used to work in a mechanic shop. He found a cat in an oil deposit out back.
Oh wow.
And it was gonna drown in there.
Yeah.
And he rescued it out of there and gave him 7 good years. He did just pass away, but I mean, he's just a really compassionate guy. And
That's
I don't know.
awesome.
I can't even see myself doing that. Like I'm gonna take in 5 kids that aren't mine.
Yeah.
Like I was almost like when I was in dating, I'm married now, but when I was in dating, I didn't even want a single mom to a point, you know, like if I found out she had a kid, I was like, well, I don't think we should start anything because you got a kid. I want kids of my own. And it's kind of like hypocritical in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
but at the same point in time, like you know how much work it probably was for your dad.
Yeah.
I mean, think about like I think about like when you say first got custody of you 8 years old, right? Like those
4 years old. Oh
no, I mean
you're right.
like when it's just
Custody.
him. Like he's really only known you for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
You're still, you still have the you're not my dad or you're not my mom like ability in you. Like if you want it, especially like as you start to be a teenager and you're probably like we all. So like for him to take that on, and you probably now realize as you're older, like, man, I probably made some things difficult on him.
Well,
and things like that.
I don't know. I don't think so because I never had that thought once that he wasn't my dad.
That's awesome.
Not once. Like I would let sometimes my brother try to throw that in my face.
Yeah.
My brother, I forget how old I was. I think we were in high school at this point, but my brother, which is his kid, real kid, tried to throw that in my face, like you're adopted, blah blah blah. And I had to fight him back. I was like, I don't care if I'm adopted. That's my dad too,
right?
So when you say that, I really didn't. I was thinking about that. I'm like, wow, I really didn't even throw that in his face, even awesome. As a kid. That's like, awesome. It was just my dad. Yeah. It really was my dad.
So, I mean, obviously all this is going on when you're really young, you're in elementary school and stuff. Like how did that, affect you going into middle school, junior high, high school, like the turmoil, like not having your mom. And then obviously, I mean, you said your mom eventually moved out of state completely.
Yeah.
How were you as a kid? Like were you, they always associate like kids that go through that stuff cause some trouble, do some damage. Did you go through that stage or did you have to fight through that aspect of life or
I don't think I ever like connected the dots on what was truly wrong with me. But now that I'm older, it was definitely like an emotional problem. Cause your dad is really like he's the strong character in your story. He's the one that physically he's gonna protect you. But when it comes to the way you feel or like the way the world makes you feel or the environment that you're in, I feel like that falls on the mom.
Right.
And now I had a stepmom.
Okay.
She came into the picture later because I mean, after my mom, dad, I think was with another woman, and then met my stepmom that he eventually, married and stuff. So she was a great stepmom, but she came on later.
Okay.
So then I developed the "you're not my mom" mentality. So I developed that with her, which I feel bad about. I didn't do it a lot, but I do remember like a couple times I was like, "You're not my mom." But I mean, she was doing the best she could.
Sure.
And she loved me and everything. But I had like some bitterness in my heart for one, because like growing up without a mom, you develop I developed a little bit of resentment. Almost towards women in general. But on the back end too, I was like, and maybe this stems from it because being a hopeless romantic isn't any good either. But I kind of turned into a hopeless romantic, where like I would kind of like fantasize about loving women, but couldn't actually do it.
Right.
Or make them love me back because women smell that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they know when you're they know when you're down. They it's just an aura on you.
Sure.
Like you could try to fake it or
It's a
whatever,
stank,
but
bro.
yeah, you're in like desperation almost.
Yeah.
And you try to cover it up, and I tried to cover it up, and I'm a good guy, and on the inside I really was a good guy, but I had my emotional struggles that I couldn't get past, and it creates an insecurity in you too. And when you're with a strong woman, she's probably repulsed by it, to be honest, whether it's subconsciously or consciously. She's just like, this is not the man that I want.
Well, it's funny because we actually had a conversation not too long ago where like one of guys that was on the podcast is like, we're in a new age. Like I should be able to, you should be able to trauma dump on each other is the way I think he put it. Like when you guys are both, like you need to be able to like spill that onto your woman, and she's supposed to be there for you. And I was like, I don't look at it that way because I am like you. I think the second you start pouring your struggles, it's just going to create a stink in the overall relationship. Because who is she supposed to lean on then, right?
Right.
And that makes it difficult for a man. There's some great artists out there now. I've seen. I don't know if you've ever seen Dax on TikTok and stuff like that.
Dax is great.
And they talk about, and you talk about too, like the struggles that a guy goes through, and like who does he go to, who does he talk to, like. So where did that path lead you to where you're at now?
So I think that's ultimately where music came from, because from an early age, I don't really remember what I listened to. I remember being 12 years old listening to Eminem Superman.
Like every other 12-year-old.
Yeah, like it come on in the car, and I'm just like, this song is awesome. Yeah. Like I didn't really know what he was saying, but I'm like, and I think that like instilled in me, I want to be like him. Like I want to be like Eminem. And actually, who really became my idol was T.I.
Yeah,
T.I. became like someone that when I see him, I'm like, this dude, like this is who I want to be. And I don't know if I just like connected with him or what, but he embodied like who, and I was probably only 14 at the time. And it's funny too, because obviously we're not even the same color,
right?
But
like that matter. Everybody wanted to be like Mike when I was
right. But it's like that's where I got a lot of my inspiration from. Was I think T.I. and Eminem were like the biggest influences in my music career. I always said like Eminem was better at rapping, but as far as an all-around artist and person, I was like T.I. Like T.I. is who I really want to like.
That's funny you say that too, because T.I. is definitely in my top 3, like of all artists, just because like I think a lot of his music speaks to you in like a lot of different ways, depending on what part of your life that you're in. But I also like the fact, like I think what really like got me into T.I. was I saw him like it was like a MTV Live or something like that, where he did one of his songs with like a live band. I was like, God, it sounds just as good with like a live grunge band as it does like with auto tune and everything else that's in there. So
just raw talent with those guys back in that
talented.
day, like T.I., 50 Cent, Eminem, all them guys, Kanye West, they just had raw talent. You know, they could just like that's when they used to do the freestyles too. They get them on the show and they do the freestyles, and Eminem was just too crazy. I don't think anyone could touch Eminem when he was freestyling.
It's funny now you hear the stories. Like I just saw a thing the other day where Nelly was talking about like, dude, you don't even know what it was like trying to like come up in the music industry in like the late 90s and the early 2000s with all the same guys you're talking, just coming out of like the Pac scene and like the Ice Cube and all the guys from like the late 80s, early 90s, and then you like hit it really big, and like to compete with them, like you'd put out a single and then like 4 of the best artists in the business would put out a single the next week
or
and
an
like
album
just
or
drop
something.
you to the bottom, right?
I think I probably saw that same video because I was laughing when I saw that. I was like, dude, that probably was really hard. And you don't even think about it when you're back there listening to the music. You're just like, oh, Nelly put out a song. Oh, Eminem put out a song. Oh, T.I. put out an album.
Yeah.
But those guys were like competing with those guys. You didn't really see it like that. But I could imagine like you put out a song and then Eminem drops his album and you're like, oh.
Yeah, like you gotta wait like 6 more months to be relevant again. All right. So when did you actually start putting pen to paper and your voice to
so I think 16 was when I tried to write my first rap. and it wasn't good at all. No, it wasn't good. I don't think I was like cussing a lot when I wrote my first rap, but I remember I got made fun of for this because this was back. Okay, yeah, in my high school football, I just started playing football, so yeah, I was like around 16.
Okay.
And I remember I was trying to rap it to one of my friends, and I forget how the line went, but I was like trying to brag about being drug free.
Yeah.
And I just remember, you can test me, I don't got dirty pee. And so for like the rest of high school, man, that guy was like just calling me dirty pee all the time. I'm like, dude. And
not what you want.
No,
Not the lyric you want.
Not at all. So I mean, but that's how you start. I mean, if you think you're just gonna be like naturally good at it, you might have some, maybe your voice is right or whatever for it, but you have to put it down in order to grow, and it takes effort. Even like T.I., I can imagine. I don't imagine he was just writing stuff right out of the gate.
No, of course not.
But
I mean, everybody's got to learn, right?
Yeah.
The difference between some of the success was like, well, one, a lot of the ways that they had access to, freestyle clubs and things like that. That was huge back then. I don't know if you've done anything like that or tried to do anything like that, but obviously, like the underground scene was like insane in the late 90s for rap music. So that was like their path or their direction to go up. They almost all started in that same kind of thing.
Right.
But you have an advantage that they didn't have. I mean, you've got Spotify right now, and that's in TikTok and things like that. And that's where I caught you was on TikTok. But I mean, you can upload an album, a song, whatever you want on Spotify, which is awesome.
And I think that's pretty new too for Spotify.
Is it? I wasn't sure.
I think so. Like they weren't letting just anybody on like back in the day.
Okay.
I don't know how long ago, but
so how have you had success with it? Like, was there some initial success? Have you seen any direction in which it's gotten better? I mean, obviously you see the struggles that every new artist is going to see, but especially being in the rap game with a Christian, background as far as the way that you rap. So
yeah, I think with the Christian element, I won't get too much into that right now because it kind of progresses to that.
Sure.
But with the Christian element, it is a little bit more difficult, but it also puts you in another, like it kind of sets you apart though too.
Oh, absolutely.
So like you're different, and people like uniqueness. So you're not kind of flooded in a whole plethora of everybody that's doing the same thing. It's like when I hear a new artist and he just gets on and he's cussing and talking about thugging and doing drugs and going to the club, it's like, okay, another one,
right?
Yeah. And it's like, it's different if you can tell if it's authentic too. Like in the beginning when I was doing music, like I told you, I had that one that really wasn't any good, and after I got made fun of for it, I was really just trying to emulate like T.I. and Eminem. I wanted to be like them. So in the beginning, I was not really genuine with it. I was trying to stay true to who I was, but there's a certain element where like you're just faking it. You're trying to be cool, or you're trying to be liked, or you're trying to get people. If you know that people like this, then you're gonna do that too.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it started with me. And in the beginning, I saw a little bit of success with it. I mean, I wouldn't say monetarily, I didn't see much success with it. But I was doing shows and recording songs. I started, I think, around like 20 years old. It's always kind of been like a thing too that I've been like 1 foot out, 1 foot in with. I think it wasn't until like 2 years ago when I actually was like, all right, I'm like gonna do this. But back in the day, I think like, 18, it's like go off to college because I want to, I guess, just make money, right? Like they tell you, if you want to have a family, if you want to have a job, if you want to make enough money to support that family and the house and the kids that come with it, then you better go $150,000 in debt.
Yeah.
Like,
right off the rip.
Yeah, go into college, spend $50,000 to $300,000 depending on what you're going for, and I got sold on that dream. I definitely got sold on that dream. And when you're growing up as somebody that doesn't really even know who they are, with all the things I faced in my family, like it's easy to get sold on something like that.
Yeah,
you know, you're separated from a foundation, so you don't really even know. It's hard if you're not coming from a place of soundness and security. Then any salesman that comes at you with something is gonna, if they know how to talk, it's like the devil coming to you. You know, if the devil's coming to you, he knows exactly what to say. And if you don't have God on your side, when the devil's across the table trying to get you to sign a contract, you're definitely going to sign, because that's the devil talking to you. That devil knows what to say. He knows what to put on there, and he knows to make you sign before he shows you the repercussions.
Right. The fine print.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing about college too. I mean, you got to think, like, first of all, it's like that everybody's doing it. Like, right, when you're going through high school, everybody's talking about college.
Yep.
Your teachers are talking about college. Parents are telling you about college. Like, everybody's telling you it's the thing to do. Nobody actually, I mean, I shouldn't say nobody, because there's a lot of parents out there that don't enforce college anymore. But, you know, it's indoctrinated to kids from a young age that this is what you're supposed to do, is you have to go to college and you have to do this in order to get a job, in order to do the things that you said you want to do. And that's just simply not the case. And a lot of kids end up thousands and, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, in student loans, but also the other debt that you incur because you're like, oh, I'm 18. Like, I want my dorm room to have a flat screen. I want a PlayStation in there. Like, I could do what I want, and I'm a grown man now. Right. And, you know, it doesn't necessarily teach you, like, all right, well, in actually order to be a grown man, like, is this what you want to do? Like, what's the plan? What's the vision for you to finish this in 4 years? What do you see yourself doing? I feel like there's less talk about that than there is about just actually going, so they can get you in there. Right. But so where'd you go to college at?
I went to Kent State.
Okay.
And I went for architecture.
All right. Why are you laughing over there, Sean?
Because I did 1 year at Kent State in architecture as well.
Yeah.
I didn't like Kent State, and that's why I transferred to University of Cincinnati.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. In architecture. Well, I mean, at least you're chasing that a little bit now, right?
Nah. I mean, I'm in construction, but I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So you did how long at Kent State?
I was it 3 years? I think
wow.
Yeah, I think it was 3 years. But the funny thing about it is I went for architecture, and I also did have aspirations to be an architect, even from a young age. Like, I even put it in a song once. I mean, like, I called myself a lyric engineer at that point, but it was like I wanted to be an engineer too. You know, I wanted to. It is my dream to build my own house, and I love anything that is like construction or anything like that. As I've always gravitated towards that. And I was building roof trusses there for a long while too.
Okay.
And I'm actually getting in the roofing industry now. So that's definitely like something that I gravitate towards as well. But yeah, I think it was 3 years, but so 18, I'm like scrambling, or 17 or whatever. I'm like scrambling to try to get into a school. And so, like, Kent State accepts everybody. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna apply at Kent State. And here we go. Congratulations, you're in.
I did it.
Yeah.
Well done.
So, but I wanted to go for architecture, but I didn't know that you apply for architecture school like way before everything else. So I'm in Kent State, or I'm accepted to Kent State, but I missed the deadline to even apply for architecture school. So I get ready to, like, you know, start college, and I'm taking on these loans. I think I took on like a $11,000 loan my first, like $11,000 private loan my first year. That's not even including the government loans that I took out. So I think it was like another 8,000 in government loans. So 20 grand to go, and to find out that I'm not even going for architecture. Like, I'm about to take a whole first year of basically nothing, like Kent core classes.
Yeah.
I was taking like English and writing and algebra classes or whatever, algebra 4 or
all
something.
the shit that you probably hated in school.
Well, I actually kind of like math.
Okay.
Which is,
but
people
math,
think I'm a psychopath.
Yeah, I like math too, because it articulates to everything.
Yeah.
But at the same point in time, like history class, things like that, like that's not stuff like math I like, because you can figure things out like you
Yeah.
know, with your hands or with
You
your
use it every
brains, you can
day.
use it.
Measurements.
Yeah,
like,
like
if this ain't square, then this ain't gonna sit
Yeah,
up
it
on
calculates with everything,
Yeah,
dude. But you know, the rest of the classes that you're taking, like,
it's all like subjective or something.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
just-
like how do you interpret it? And it's like, well,
how's this gonna help me build a building?
yeah.
You
And
know?
writing too. Writing and reading were like the worst for me. I don't want to sit there and really read a book like that you made me read.
Right. Yeah. Like
I mean-
not something that I'm actually interested in, but like a book that's supposed to give me some insight
Yeah.
on something that happened 200 years ago
Yeah.
and some fake
I
love
think
scene.
the only book I liked in high school was Ender's Game.
Yeah.
I got into that book. But then I didn't really read anything else. I the only thing I really like to read are like informational,
Yeah.
like something that's gonna inspire me or something that's gonna give me knowledge. I don't really like reading like fiction books. I mean, sometimes they're interesting, but I want to read about like real life and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, so the first year I didn't even get into architecture, and then my second year comes around, and now this time I can't claim ignorance because I know, you know, but I missed it again. I missed it again, so I'm taking another.
Repeat offender.
So after my first year, though, I wanted to quit. I didn't want to go back. Like my dad didn't make me go to college. My parents did not make me go to college. This was all me. Like I wanted to go to college because I was convinced that this is how I was going to find my place in the world. And like my stepbrother went to the career center at 16, so he was like learning a trade.
Right.
And you hear that that's for losers. You hear that the career center is for losers. You know, did you hear that growing
So
up?
it's funny. We have this conversation like almost every week. Somehow this comes up because now my daughter's at that age where she's talking about the career center. When I was in high school, I'm the oldest. Well, Sean's older. You guys are older than me, actually. We're a different table this week.
Thanks.
Usually I'm the youngest one or the oldest one at the table, but I'm not the oldest this week. So anyhow, when I had we didn't call it the career center, I called it the JVS at the back that
The
time.
joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Joint
like
vocational, yeah.
and as a sophomore, you would see the bus of kids get off from the JVS at the school, and it was like he's got like the black Janko skater jeans. This dude's got like gold or silver like dog collar around his neck. They're fucking smoking a cigarette right outside the school bus, and it's like, oh fuck that, I ain't going there.
Right.
Now fucking it's the career center, right? So like now
It's
it's
good
like
now.
now it's high end.
Okay.
And like now it's like, you know, I told the story before, but my daughter's friend was over with her one weekend, and she's like, everybody loves the career center. She's like, because everybody wants to be there. Like you're doing something you want to do, and like it's fun, and you know, the teachers are teaching you something that you want to learn, and they enjoy doing it. So it's like a whole different environment. And then I just ran into one of the kids, it's my daughter's ex-boyfriend actually, and he's like, I'm on honor roll at the career center. And this is like a career D student, like going through 9th, 10th grade or whatever. And it's like, man, now the career center seems like the path to go on to get you at least to start down.
Well, they're
path.
hard on you. They treat you like an adult. I mean, there's no like calling in sick and this and that. They're hard on you. I would love to go there. I mean, if I could start over, I mean, you graduate and you're going right into a job. You know, you're 18 or 20 years old, and you're starting very much higher than you are when you got out of college at 24 or 23. So,
well, and on top of that too, like you said, like even if it's not 100% what you want to do when you get out, you at least have a way to earn income while you figure it out. You know what I mean? Or, you know, especially like, you
Don't
know,
got to go into fast food or something like that.
yeah. Well, like, you know, here you are chasing your dreams of being an artist,
Yeah.
right? Like those skills you learned in a career center can have you building a house during the day while at night you're working on your music, and still being able to be home with your family and stuff like that. So, you know, there's a lot of, I'm a strong believer in it now. Like I wish more kids would, I think more kids are taking advantage of it, frankly. Just because, I mean, God, I probably retained 20% of what I learned in high school that was actually like necessary in life. I wish I would have went to the career center, even though back then it was.
I gave up most of what I learned in college when I quit drinking.
Oh man. So you were saying that your brother, he went to the
Yeah. My stepbrother went to the career center. And we were really close growing up too. Like we did everything together. I mean, when we were younger, we were playing backyard football together. And then we like started skateboarding together and everything like that. And I think around when he started going to the career center and stuff, was when we kind of drifted a little bit, or not because I thought he was a loser, but he was just going a different path. And it's funny because I mean, the career center gave him such a leg up because I mean, he was married already. He was after high school,
Right.
he was getting a house. He had a job in auto body. He was setting up, and I'm just going off to college.
Right.
And I missed the deadline for architecture
Twice.
the second time. So I just I think I don't like to blame something because except myself, because it's my own foolishness that put me in the positions that I'm in. But at the same time, it's like I was missing that structure. And with that, like I said, without that foundation, I was just getting pulled in every direction. Like if a guidance counselor told me that the way I was going to be successful and have what I want, because most people want the same things. Like they don't want the exact same path or the same career, but the end goal is really, wife, kids, home, dogs,
Yeah.
a couple cars
Yeah.
that are paid off or
Yeah.
whatever. Like that's what people usually desire. At the end of the day, we just want to find somebody that we can be in love with and grow a family with. But you just have to support that. And I think that's the hard part. And when families are getting ripped apart, which now that I'm a Christian, as I see that as the devil's work. So when families are getting ripped apart, this is what you have now. You got a bunch of people, you got a bunch of kids out here that are being pulled every which way, and they don't really know how they're going to make it work. They're trying, they're diligently trying, and it's really not clicking anymore. And I think it's because I honestly think it's because people are missing that biblical foundation, or even just like a family structure. And I don't think you can maintain the family without God. I mean, you might be able to make it to old age and die together or whatever, but like, is your family actually going to be healthy? Like God has the blueprint. God has everything that God says in that book. If you apply it to your life, you're going to see the fruit from that. And when you try to go out and do this on your own, it might look like you're setting something up, but at the end of the day, it's just going to fall through because you're just walking on thin ice. Your destiny is not yours. I believe in destiny, but your destiny is not, I don't think it's yours to create because God already created that for you.
Okay. So
you can try to make your own destiny and it might look like it's panning out however long. You better hope that it in your favor. You better hope that the destiny you try to create for yourself ends sooner rather than later. Because if it ends later, you're going to be a lot more devastated when your wife divorces you and takes the kids. Like it's in my situation, okay, I was with a woman and I was about 23. I found a woman that, I felt like I wanted to be with. And like I was gonna marry this woman, but this is back when I'm trying to create my own destiny still, and I'm thinking everything's going good, and I got a new car now, and I'm gonna take this new sales job, and I'm blind to everything going on around me. Like when I look back at it now, she started acting different, but I was willingly ignorant to what was actually being shown to me. That she vanished. Like the last time I saw her, I did not know that was going to be the last time.
Oh, wow.
But I'm grateful though, because I'm glad. I don't blame her. I'm glad that she figured out I wasn't what she wanted earlier than later.
Yeah.
Because if I had tried to sort this out and maybe I made some different decisions and we get married and have children, and then she finally decides, like, I've been trying to make this work because I do like this guy, but I can't, and then she left. I would have been a lot more devastated, and now later on in life, I find God, and then, wow, magically appears another woman that's now my wife. And it's like, I didn't even try for that. It just got presented to me.
Mm.
And I met her in a place where I've been before and never saw her. And then now you're telling me when I finally submit to God, here's my wife. Like, getting women was a challenge. It was something that I struggled with. I didn't really know how to talk to women. Like, okay, I'm a good looking guy or whatever. And that can help me, but that only goes so far.
Yeah.
Once you don't know how to talk to a woman or how to treat a woman or what it even means to be a man, it's only gonna last so long. And even like getting physical, having sex, you could have the best sex of your life, but if you don't really know what it means to be a man, sex ain't gonna keep her either.
Right.
But then like I said, I find God, and there's my wife now. And now we have a beautiful daughter, and we just learned probably another one on the way.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
Hey,
yeah.
congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Man.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Well,
So what was that path? Because
I kind of skipped
our
over it a little bit.
stories are pretty similar from the beginning or whatever. And you come from all this brokenness, the broken home, and then it breaks again, and then like at what point does God start coming into where you start paying attention to it and accepting? Like, what led you on down that road?
Yeah, so I did definitely skip over that a little bit, but I'm glad that you brought that back up.
here
So,
before we get into that real quick, because there's a couple of your friends here that are reaching out on YouTube and stuff like that. It's interesting to hear a couple of them didn't even. Here's one. I've known you for over 20 years, and I'm learning stuff as we
Yeah.
speak.
bro, I bottle it all up, man. I don't, because that's insecurity though. Like, you don't want to talk about that stuff because, for one, okay, I let a little bit out, right? Like that woman I was with, right? I showed her a little bit. I showed her a little bit of my brokenness, but like what you're saying, they don't want to see that. Now, I disagree just a little bit. Like with my wife, I am confident that if I come to her with something that's killing me, she's gonna support me. Now, that doesn't mean I can sit around and mope and act like, because then she'll be like, all right, well, like, my man ain't doing nothing no more,
Get
like,
it together.
Yeah. So I'm still getting out here, trying to, like, I'm on this podcast right now. I'm still getting out here and trying to put life together.
Yeah.
But yeah, you bottle that stuff up because you don't want people to see that as weakness.
Yeah.
So, and like that only goes so far too. Like, you could put up all these walls and stuff, but at the end of the day, those walls are just going to come down. And like I said, with that woman, it's like that stuff started to show, and that was the end of the road.
Yeah.
Like, she's probably sitting here like, I'm finding out that this guy is not who I thought he was at all. And you can almost see that as being lied to. I don't know how it is from a woman's perspective. I can only guess, but you can only see that as being lied to. And it's like, okay, I mean, a little bit too vulnerable here, but like, porn addiction.
Yeah.
There were times when it's like, I hide that stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was ever figured out, but a part of me feels like she figured that out and didn't say anything about it. Cause like, it was just like, gone.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, I don't know. I never got an explanation really. I mean, she told me that she was leaving
Right.
after she already left over text. But it's just that's just the way it is, man. I mean, like, I at a point, a part of me feels like she almost felt betrayed, or I could be totally wrong. Maybe she just met somebody else.
I
Right.
think you're spot on.
Maybe she just met. Yeah, I mean,
like-
a part of me feels like she just felt betrayed.
Like the music thing, like when you're starting out, you know, copying T.I., copying Eminem,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you're trying to put on that persona, and because they're successful, but it's not being true to you. Like you said, you're putting up these walls, you're showing this phony facade of who you are, because I'm not going to show you the real me because I'm vulnerable, and you hide that. And then as these walls get built higher and higher, and you know, they see this version, and it's like, I don't really know him, you know, and that's, I think, where the betrayal and the lying, like that kind of starts setting in. I would believe that would.
I think so too, man. Like, and you can put out them walls, and they can look beautiful and majestic, and they got big old towers,
especially
on
from
them.
the inside.
Yeah, guards all around the perimeter and everything. But a strong woman, is gonna get right through that, no matter what you try to do, because you might not realize it, but every time you're communicating with her, every time you're hanging out with her, she's seeing all of that. Well, like I said, I don't know what it's like to be a woman, but I know what it's like to be a man, and I can sense that on her too.
Yeah.
Right.
And when she's peeling back these layers of the onion and gets to the center of it and finds out like everything about this man isn't really what he told me he was, then that's a reason to leave. And I'm not at this point in my life, even back then, I got angry at first just because I was like, I wish you would have told me. I wish I would have known the last time I was going to see you, not to try to keep you or anything like that, but to at least say goodbye.
Well, is that where you say that now, but at that time you would have been trying?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Because I spent. Now, it wasn't like diligently. I knew she was gone, but I probably spent like 2.5 years still wishing that she would come back.
Sure, of course.
You know, like I'd text her randomly, and it was, man, sometimes it was just so desperate. It's like, hey, how you doing? Like, how's life? And you know, she's replying too, just to be nice.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I mean, everything's great. I'm doing good. And she's with her new man and everything. And it's like, she's just trying to be nice. And it's like, it's from a place of desperation.
Yeah.
And I think the last time I texted her, it was like 2.5 years later, bro. And I'm pretty sure at this point, she was either already had a kid or was about to have a kid.
Yeah.
And I think was also like engaged. And I didn't know any of that because I unfollow her. I don't want to see her face because it really just hurts me to see her back then. But it's like, I'm still stuck in this world.
Yeah. 2.5
years later, she's moved on with her life. She's, like I said, she's about to have a kid. She's engaged. And it's like, you're hitting her up and you're like, what did I say? I was like, why'd I have to lose you? You meant everything to me.
Oh yeah.
And it's
2.5 years later, bro.
Yeah,
like
bro.
you're in a totally different
I was
aspect.
totally stuck, bro.
Yeah.
I was totally stuck. And it's crazy looking back. And I kind of feel bad for even doing it. I wish I should have just like respected what was going on, but it was hard to see.
Well,
you know?
yeah, you didn't see it all.
Yeah, I couldn't see it.
You know, that's the act of desperation.
Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
at the same point in time, you can look.
Fantasy of like, oh, the Hollywood movies, right? Where
Yeah.
he chases the girl and he ends up at the train station in the rain and she takes him back because, oh my God, he traveled all this way. Life doesn't work like that. That's a fantasy.
You really are a hopeless romantic.
I was absolutely a hopeless romantic. That's all I knew.
Yeah, but at the same
That's
point in
all I
time,
knew.
like if you would have gotten it, like it would have ended up in the same scenario. You could probably look back at it now and realize, like, man, thank God that she didn't respond to those texts and like, oh yeah, let's go out to dinner or something,
Yeah.
like, because you'd be stuck in the same
Be in the
spot,
same
just,
boat, man.
just delaying your life a little bit more. at a
Same
time.
boat. Yeah.
Got a couple other folks here that commented. Looks like your boy Jake I said that he
What's
heard all
up,
the
Jake?
time that losers go to the career center.
He said what?
Yeah, he said, I heard all the time I was at the career center that losers go there to people that can't graduate because it's an easy diploma.
Yeah.
That's
And that deters you from actually like doing something meaningful.
yeah.
And good.
Yeah. Like you said, now they're all like, man, we're going off and we're learning something we actually want to learn.
Yeah.
And well, you're sitting still in the regular high school, like learning about, I don't even know, like you said, you don't even retain it. It's like, what are we learning about? We're learning about something that
Right.
happened
You're reading
3
Romeo and Juliet.
billion years ago or whatever. And it's like, I don't even think half that information is actually accurate. They tell you that oil comes from old dinosaur sludge, and it's like, is that even true? I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if
don't
that's even true.
Dude, I don't even know. I've learned more about after from like different random
Yeah.
podcasts.
You
Stuff. I'm
almost
like,
have
what?
to
Nobody told me
unlearn.
that. Yeah, you gotta like restart.
Yeah.
Like, because now you can think for yourself. Like in high school, I feel like you just have to
You're a
learn what they
sponge.
tell you.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even to want to be a sponge. Most kids don't want to be a sponge. That's why they get C's and D's,
Right.
right? But like the other ones are like, I'm just doing what I'm told to learn. Like it's not like they go home like, oh, I'm so excited today. We're gonna learn about Romeo and Juliet. Like
Yeah.
I can't wait to read this book. You know?
Yeah.
I
You're
guess-
literally just told like get good grades so you can get into a good college and get a good job and get good pay.
yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, fine. I don't really know what I'm answering on this test, but the teacher told me it was this. So
yeah, exactly.
A+. Awesome.
Elbrook Ross,
That's
the
my sister
older
right
sister.
there.
Yep.
Yep.
Hoping that this opens up on more opportunities for you. Let's see. We got Joshua again. Honored to have been through it as a friendship developed into us. Your brothers, different mothers. Proud of what you've gotten, where the journey is going to take you.
Yeah. Josh is awesome. He's living in North Carolina, but he was like basically my only friend in high school. I think like we became really good friends when I started playing football. I think it was like the summer before. Like I played football in high school, but the reason I stopped playing football, I was really good at football. Like we played backyard football all the time.
Yeah.
But the reason I stopped playing football is because of that 6-week vacation in South Carolina.
You missed
with my
half
mom.
of
Yeah,
two-a-days
all
and everything.
two-a-days, everything. So like all my peers, that was another thing that pulled me away from. That's what kind of made me like an outcast too, a little bit in high school. So I wasn't even really developing social skills because when it came like summertime to do two-a-days or whatever, I'm going down to South Carolina around a bunch of people I don't even know.
Yeah.
But anyway, like 16 years old, I think like me and him were going out and mowing yards together. Like that's what he was in because his dad was doing that.
Yeah.
But we were like starting to mow yards together. And we just really became really good friends. And he got me back into football. And it was really just me and him for the rest of high school. And then when it came to college, we went to different colleges the first year, but the second year he came to Kent and we were living together. So,
well, for all those listening and those that are on, I've got 10, 15 people on right now. Make sure you guys like and share, get Logue's story out there, and hopefully you can continue growing what he's trying to do. So, where did this path to Jesus begin for you?
right.
Let's
Get back to that.
We got the weave.
Okay. All right. So with that, the woman I've been talking about, after that ended up, going sour where it was going to go inevitably. I failed at that sales job because obviously I'm not even in the right mental state. And that's really not even what I wanted to do. Like I just took that because I thought I could make money. And I thought that like if I could make that money, then screw whatever she has going on. She'll just stay with me. It's like, dude, wow. But so that failed. I moved back home to Ashland and living with my parents. I'm like, what, 24 now? I'm back home with my parents. I felt like, man, my life is coming crashing down. And I ended up working at Bill Harris in Ashland.
Yeah.
And that's where I found God because a pastor, I don't know if you guys know Tommy Tyson. Tommy Tyson, he runs Cross Connect Church.
Okay.
And that's who brought me to Jesus. So he comes in, and I'm pretty sure Scott Harris and Aaron Harris and all them, it's THBI.
Oh, I was gonna look it up.
I think he's on Facebook. I don't know if he wants anybody to know this because like his Facebook name isn't even his real name.
We'll move on from it then.
But he does run a big successful church off his property. But Scott Harris and Aaron Harris and David Harris, all of them, I'm pretty sure like I know Scott is really Christian.
Okay.
So I think Tommy just had like relations with them. And he comes in, I'm sitting over in the corner. I'm an accessory specialist. Like I'm not selling cars, but when a car gets sold, I'm trying to sell them floor mats. And
So you're like doing the aftermarket sales.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And really, I was just festering in that job anyway. Like, cause I'm still down on myself. Like, I don't know where I went wrong. Blah blah blah. Woe is me. Oh man, this sucks. Like, what am I gonna? Tragic. But so I'm kind of just festering around, just hanging out, collecting a paycheck. Every once in a while, I was like, I'm trying to sell somebody floor mats, and most people want floor mats anyway, so it's a pretty easy sell. But he comes in the front. I'm pretty sure this was like November 2017 or somewhere around there. He comes in the front. He's talking for a long while with Scott at the front desk, and I'm off in the corner. And after they're done talking, he just comes straight over to me. And I'm like, what are you doing, man? Wait, did he tell you want some floor mats or something? But he comes straight over to me and we just start talking. And he like instantly invites me to his church. And after the conversation that we had, I'm just like, definitely. I mean, I want to go to the church and see what it's all about. And I've always had this like lingering thought in my mind. I think when I was younger, I believed in God. I didn't really understand the concept of God. I didn't know really who God was or what he did, but it drifted away. I didn't even give God a passing thought. But then, I start going to the church and I'm listening and it's all connecting with me. And it's like, it's putting me back together again. So I think it wasn't too long after that. I'm still at Bill Harris, and I think it was like February. I think it was a little bit earlier. I don't remember the exact month or whatever. But we just go up to, he asked me if I want to give my life to Jesus, and we just go up to the conference room and get down on our knees and say the sinner's prayer.
Hold on a sec. Well, hold on. I missed a spot here. So you're saying you met, he came over to the pastor came over to you. He talked to you about going to church. You started going to church.
Yeah.
And then the Harrises brought you into the dealership, or he came and visited the dealership?
He was kind of regular in there every so often.
Okay.
So yeah, he comes back. I mean, I'm still working there. He comes back in, and I could be messing this timeline up.
No, I'm not worried about the timeline.
This is the way
20 years in the dealership. I've never seen anybody get like kind of saved in the conference room, which is kind of what happened to you. I'm picturing this as
like, why didn't I get saved in the church?
Yeah. Like,
right.
Wait, hold on. What's going on? What kind of dealership is this?
Right. It's funny. It's funny.
Warranty.
It's funny too, because like someone walked in and they're like, oh, okay, and walked right back out. And like, we're on our knees. I'm pretty sure like the lights are off too, so we're like on our knees over there by the table, and like someone walks in and they're like, they see these two guys over there, like,
yeah, like looking back, you're like, God, they're probably thinking 100 things other than what's actually happening right now.
I mean, hopefully, I imagine she knows who that guy was, but so yeah, that's where we did it. And I was so accepting of it, and I was just like, you know what? I've tried it my way. For the longest time, and I just ended up right back where I've always been. Not knowing who I am, not knowing where I'm going, not, worrying about the future, anxious about the past, not living in the present, not chasing my dreams. Like this whole time too, I want to be a rapper.
Yeah, you weren't doing anything at that point?
I mean, I was doing little stuff. Like, I had a music video made, and it's a pretty good music video because my guy was a videographer, and but that's about it. I mean, I would post little Instagram videos of me just rapping like a verse or something, and people were liking it. I mean, I'd get a decent amount of likes and stuff off of it, and people loved it, and they were good, but like it never went beyond that. And it was like, also, I was waiting. I felt like I was always waiting for somebody to come dig me out. Like, oh, my buddy that's a videographer, he needs to link up with me and he needs to make me a video, versus I need to go out there and like actively pursue that. And it was like, I'm waiting on a record deal. And I think that if I post these 1 minute or 30-second Instagram videos that like
right person.
Eminem's gonna see it, or some record label's gonna see it, and that's it. Then they're gonna take me places. But it doesn't, like, for most people, honestly, probably like all people, it doesn't work like that. You
Right.
have to create the opportunity. You can't wait for the opportunity to present itself to you. You have to seize the moment and create that for yourself. Like, you got to think about, like, okay, was T.I. just like sitting there chilling in the corner doing one little rap to somebody and hoping that person would push him to someone? No, T.I. was living it. T.I. was going out saying that that's who he is and this is what he's gonna do. And he created the opportunity. And look at him now. Like, he's massive because he created all that.
Right.
And yeah, obviously people will jump on board and help you like branch out, but you have to first be that person. You can't just like, oh man, someone's gonna discover me. Like, if I just sit here long enough, someone's gonna come along and they're gonna be like, you know what? I can market that guy right there.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
You got to have the drive.
No,
and the
yeah.
push.
You have to show people that that's what you are.
Well, we talk about it too on the podcast all the time. Is, you know, the couple of buddies that do this with me consistently, like, you know, growth is slow.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, oh, I want to get this guest, I want to get this person on, and it's like, well, how do you get to that level? You know, you want this big guest on. Well, what are you doing in the meantime?
Exactly.
And,
Exactly.
and who are you reaching out to, and how often are you doing it? You know, there's days that I call 15 to 20 people, or I send out 30 to 40 DMs and get 0 responses. You know, that's how I reached out to you. I was like, hey, this guy's in Ohio. Let's see if we can get him on and hear him talk, you know? And you know, that's what I tell the guys that did this with me. I was like, man, that takes up like 4 to 5 hours of my day. And then, you know, my wife's like, what are you doing on your phone? Like, hey, I'm trying to fulfill a guest for 3 weeks from now so that I'm not rushing at the last minute this time. And that's the struggle of trying to grow something, especially like when you don't have, you know, some people get a head start. Like, you know, somebody can go famous on TikTok and get 1 million views on some weird video they do, and then all of a sudden, like, they're in front of all those, they get 50,000 subscribers and they're in front of them. So yeah, they get a little boost, but ultimately you're gonna fall off if you don't have anything else of value to add.
Yeah.
You know,
that could almost be like a curse at some point too, because it's like, now you got all this attention. What are you gonna do with it? If you weren't molded by like, you know, like what I've gone through, if you weren't molded by that, then you're just gonna crumble at the end of the day.
Sure. Yeah, because if you don't see that return success, you're gonna just question yourself. You're gonna find yourself in a depression. You're just gonna be like, this isn't what I'm supposed to do. Now I don't know what to do. Then you're back to emulating other people in order to try and you know, and so much respect to you, especially in like you said, a niche thing like Christian rap. So where are you at right now? Like, what's going on in your world now? It looks like you just dropped a new music video recently.
Yeah, I think Vacant was just 3 weeks ago that I put that one out. And I think that one's maybe not like people have been telling me that's my best song. And I feel like it just has like that raw emotion back in it. Where I was like really telling my story again. And like the video came out really good too. I was excited about how that video came out, and I'm gonna try to emulate that in videos to come. But so, like I said, 2 years ago, I started to like take it serious again, and I'm like, I keep putting this off and telling myself that, you know what, man, just let it go. It's never giving you anything except doubt and fear, and it's just made you look like, I mean, a white kid from Ashland, Ohio.
I mean, yeah,
I was self-destructing almost in every avenue of my life. And it's like, bro, you picked rapper?
Yeah.
Like, of all the things that you could do, you picked rapper from Ashland, and you're white.
Yeah.
It's kind of the thing, it's kind of the stigma that goes with it. But the cool thing about it is not that many people actually hated on me, maybe behind closed doors, but people were actually like really receptive of it. Maybe not at first, but when I started putting stuff out and putting songs out, people were like, you're actually pretty good. And I don't think I ever really like acknowledged it that I was good because of insecurities and stuff. But Yeah, it's like you picked rapper out of all things. It's like you already got enough problems in your life.
Yeah, dude, you're from
Why are you-
Ashland, you're supposed to pick farmer.
why
bro.
yeah why are you creating more problems for yourself? And I think that's just because I've always had a drive to tackle like challenges that make me into a better person. And I being stagnant is so hard for me. It just exhausts me. Like I can't go to a 9 to 5 for so long and collect the same paycheck every week. It's just kind of draining to me. And I know you have to do that.
Sure.
So I understand that, like, the grind has to be there until something else helps you out. But it's really tough to be in the position that I'm in, where it's like I know what I want to be, but trying to accomplish it is like a whole nother job in and of itself. So you're going to your 9 to 5, and by the time you get off work, you are tired.
Yeah.
And you don't want to go put in the work. And it's like, okay, well, now I got to go get on camera. And well, first I'll probably need a shower or I need a nap or something, And it's like by that time, dude, it's in the wintertime too. It's the sun's already down at 5:30. So it's like,
dude, especially in Ohio, man.
yeah.
It's like nothing good in the winter happens.
Yeah.
The
But
drag.
I just started to take matters into my own hands a couple years ago. I like finally bought, and this was when my daughter was born. I think that might have sparked it in me, where it's like, is this really how you want the rest of your life to go? Do you want to just follow that same path and that same guaranteed paycheck, but it's not fulfilling? It's not pushing you to your destiny that God has for you. It's just kind of keeping you in the same rotation day after day. And I was finally just like, you know what? I'm done waiting on somebody to come bail me out, and I'm gonna bail myself out. So I'm gonna go buy a camera. I don't really know what I'm gonna do with it. I mean, I know I'm gonna take a music video, but it's like I don't even know how to shoot a music video.
Right.
But I know you need a camera. I know that's a good place to start. So I started like kind of researching cameras, and I go buy a camera. It's not the best camera or whatever, but it's enough. And so now it's like, okay, you got your video. How are you going to splice it and make a music video out of it? Oh, well, I know you go on into the computer and you upload it and you bring your footage in and you splice it and put it together. But now I'm trying to run that footage into, I got this kind of old laptop. I think it was like probably from 2016 or something like that. And I'm trying to run this and it just crashes. It can't even handle it. So I'm like, okay, I got to get a new laptop. So I get a new laptop, and the program I'm trying to run it through, now the program's just crashing. The laptop isn't crashing, but the program's crashing. Okay, what program do I need? Oh, well, everybody else is using Adobe Premiere. Okay, let me get Adobe Premiere. And then I finally pull the footage in, and I have no idea how to use Adobe Premiere. But thank God YouTube's out there.
Right.
I've learned like everything off YouTube.
Dude, you sound like me right now. Like, that's how this whole thing started like 2 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the process. And once you start actually actively trying to figure that stuff out, it'll happen for you. But that's what it takes. People think that, you pick up your phone and you open it and you look at all this stuff that you scroll through in social media, and you don't really think about what it takes to create that. You just think about like, well, I'm just going to get in front of a camera and my video is going to look exactly like that. And that's just not the case. It takes time. Yeah. And you got to figure out like, okay, which angle, all this lighting and stuff, all these different cameras you got set up. Like that takes a while for you to actually know, like lighting in and of itself is, well, where do you start there?
Dude, we're still trying to figure out the lighting, like it drives me crazy that there's shadows on the back wall. Like it's like, but I don't want to mount them to the ceiling yet, because I plan on eventually moving the studio to the garage when we have it built next month. And but like everything that you talk about, like there's been episodes where I forgot to hit record on the video, and I had no video for like a great episode. And then there's another time where I didn't realize when you clear the SD drive and you put it in the trash, Well, you have to delete empty the trash in the computer too. Otherwise, it's still connected to the SD card. So like an hour into a 3-hour episode, it ran out of space.
Yep.
And I mean, it's just like, and you're just like, but once again, or when we were going live in the gym, the audio was terrible. And like, luckily there's YouTube. Like you can go in and you can like research this and research it. And you're like, oh shit, let me try this. Let me try this.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a learning process, but it does give you like, you respect like the stuff that you do see online. Like you're like, man, I got to respect the fact that these people do this stuff. Like even like 30-second TikToks, like, and we try to create shorts and stuff for the podcast. And like, yeah, you can use like Opus Clip to kind of help you like get shorts out of it that are pretty good. But then you have to like re-download those, and then you got to clip them and use all kinds of stuff in order to get the algorithms to realize it's like original content. And it's like, man, there's just so much work that goes into it. And then my wife's like, are you gonna like turn off the computer at all tonight? And it's like, you've literally been in front of that thing from like you got out of the gym at 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then you worked all day, and then you're on your computer at night, like, hello. And it's like, I know. Hopefully this will take care of itself in a year. Somebody else will do some of this for me. But in the meantime, like it's that daily grind and hustle. But yeah, mistakes are always made, but at the same point in time, like you figure it out. And when you do, you feel that much more accomplished for it. I was gonna say something else too when you were talking about, like, hey, I didn't realize I was kind of good, but nobody really made fun of me for my rap and stuff like that. And I think that comes to authenticity. Like people can tell that you're authentic. You know what I mean? It's not like
especially now, I think.
Whose phone is that?
Oh, that's mine.
Oh man.
Is that mine? That's not mine.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, look at you.
So
So quick to how does that line go that you said? Remove the log out of your own eye before you
remove the log from your eye before you try to remove the speck from your brother's eye.
Oh man. But I think you come off as authentic. I think your music's authentic, and people can appreciate that. So it's you could be a white guy from Ashland, but,
absolutely. That doesn't even matter to me anymore. But in the beginning, it was like all them insecurities and trying to emulate something that you weren't.
Sure.
And it's like you're afraid people are gonna see that, and maybe I did a good job of covering some of that up to where people were like, because a lot of that wasn't authentic. I mean, I really wasn't living some of the stuff I was saying, but a lot of it I was. I still wasn't like the club rapper doing drugs, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I was still trying to emulate something that I wasn't really actually fully. But now it's like, okay, I don't even care if I have haters. Like I bring on the haters because it's like, I'm solid in who I am. So you can say whatever you want, and I'm just going to come back with the truth.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, if you don't like it, then so be it. I'll find somebody else that does. I'm not going to change for you like I always did in the past. I was trying to be something that I thought that this certain person wanted from me. And you can't do that. Right. You can't do that. But you had me looking over at my wife when you were saying that, talking about getting off work and then getting on your laptop. Because it's like, yeah, that's what I do too. And I try to, keep everything balanced out. I try to not spend too much time. We actually created like a schedule too, where she was like giving me a couple hours or something.
There you go.
Yeah, my wife and I have been talking about that too. Where like at least like 2 nights a week, like no electronics after like a certain time. Like it was just like dedicated us time. So we need to get on that because when you're passionate about something though, it's hard not to do so.
Plus it's hard to keep that on a schedule.
Yeah.
Like as a creative, it's like it's not really like a 9 to 5. You can't just have a blocked out time where you're gonna be spiritual and connected and creative. It's like when you're an artist, like your creativity wakes you up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And you got to grab your phone and make sure you write it down because you're gonna forget it in the morning. But that's kind of how it works. You can't you're inspired.
Yeah.
At that point. And like on top of trying to figure out, okay, how am I gonna shoot a music video? Where am I going to get the money to even buy the stuff that I need? You're also trying to develop as an artist. You got your lyrics, you got your beats, you got all this other stuff too. And then on top of that, it's like, well, you got to balance the family too.
Yeah.
So, but that's part of being a man.
Yeah.
And once you get into that groove of a man where like you've triangulated, this is what I want, this is how I'm going to get it, and this is who I'm bringing with me. And as long as I keep God in the center, then none of that's gonna break.
Amen.
So like that's part of being a man, to juggle all these things, but those are what keeps your life fulfilling. That's what you're supposed to do. And you got to dedicate the time to the things that you enjoy, or else, it's going to fall apart. And then you, like I say, that triangulate, what you got the other end of that, where you got the guys that, or like me in the past, you got this, well, I kind of want this too, and I want that. And you can't even conceptualize how to pull that all together. So I think it's like, you got to keep it simple.
Yeah,
You just got to, and everyone starts there too. It's just, are you diligently trying to figure out who you are?
Well, and it's not your success that's going to define you. It's your failure and your ability to persevere and push through and overcome it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's another good point too. Like the monetary success, or any type of success, it's like you said, that's not your crowning achievement. I have an album called Journey Unknown, where it's like, it's all about the process. And you might not know exactly where you're going with it, but you have to enjoy the journey that it takes to get there. Like Moses is a good example. He didn't know what God was going to do with him. And he's not, he stuttered, right? So God wants to speak through him. And Moses can't even really get his thoughts out in an eloquent way. Can you imagine? I mean, watching a podcast where the guy's just like, Jesus was
struggle.
But that's who God wanted to use.
Yeah.
And God used him. And as long as you're willing, then God's going to use you in a powerful way. So
absolutely.
Well, but you can run from it. You can keep trying to run from it, but you'll fall flat on your face every time.
Believe it.
Definitely.
All right. So we're going a little over an hour today, which is fine. I don't mind. I don't want to rush you through, but where are you at right now? What can people do to find your music, to find you on social media and stuff like that?
So I'm on pretty much all the popular platforms. I mean, I upload all my videos to YouTube. I got I got another, like I call it a backseat freestyle. I think Vacant ended with me like sitting in the backseat. That's what the next video is gonna be. I'm just gonna like do a video from the backseat. So that's gonna be in the works soon. And I'm dropping a song called Doing Better. And that's just an audio. Okay. But that song's really good. It kind of tells, some of the stuff that I've been talking about here tonight. But you can find me on YouTube. I'm on Spotify. Just search LOGUE. And most of my tracks are on there. There's some that aren't on there just because I don't own the beats to those songs. Like sometimes I jump on a song and just do like something to it. You know, I don't buy the beat or whatever. I'm just trying to get the talent out there. And that's kind of also how I learned to do music videos too. It's just like, oh, let's jump on something and record it and make a music video to it. And so there are probably like 7 tracks on YouTube that aren't anywhere else. But I'm Pandora, Apple Music, all of that.
Yeah, so that's awesome that you can get all that music out there that way now, and you don't have to be like signed by anybody. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are doing pretty big on an independent scene. Do you have a manager? Do you have are you doing everything solo right now?
Yeah.
You said your one buddy was doing some videography work. Is he still doing that for you? You want
to his name is Denzel Washington, actually. Like that's actually his real name.
All right.
And he's really cool guy, man. He's really good at what he does. I haven't linked with him. I definitely want to. We've been talking about it, getting the video done by him, because I can only do so much. And my wife also has been recording a lot of the shots. And my beat maker, Jordan Householder, he goes by J House. He did some of my music videos too. But I definitely want to link with Denzel because he's an absolute professional. And he knows what he's doing. I think he could make like a really good video for me. But it's just like,
is he from around here then? Or
I don't know exactly what city he's living in right now.
But he's Ohio.
Yeah, he's in Ohio.
Cool.
Yeah. He does a lot. He does a lot with what he's doing. I think he was doing like wedding venues and stuff like that. So But it's, you know, he's actually a professional, so like it's just like coming up with the funds to get
for
that
sure.
done.
What about you guys? You guys any questions for Logue before we close it out tonight? I know I did most of the question asking, so I want to make sure you guys get a chance to get a couple in.
I really don't have any questions. I appreciate you coming on the show here. I related a lot to your story. You know, being a young child and feeling like you're abandoned, it made me think about when I thought I was trying to be the man that everybody wanted to be, and I was moving away, you know, just following alcohol. And, you know, I wonder if my kids feel like they were abandoned back then. And there was a couple other things you had mentioned in your story there that it just really meant a lot to me, and I appreciate you coming on the show.
That's awesome. I'm glad that I could relate to you.
Absolutely. And like I said, the beginning of your story, you know, I had abandonment issues from my biological father. I had a stepfather at 3, step in, and that's my dad. That's who raised me. And you know, it's just the struggles and the things, like I said, that's what defines you. And as you get older and mature and learn to accept, and you know, coming to Christ was my moment of dealing with that hate and that anger and transforming it into who I wanted to be. You know, I shielded that pain a lot for 20 years with alcohol and substances. And again, coming to Christ and then helping people. And then, like you said, when we came across your video, it was like, this kid is so talented. And just, again, we could see that authentic, you know, you meant it from the heart. And it was truly a blessing for me to, you know, I'm, again, probably the oldest one in the room. So I'm more of a Tupac, you know, NWA, like much earlier scene. And, you know,
What's
like,
NWA stand for?
It's a trap.
Listen, man,
That's a funny thing too, because I used to rap with a guy that used that word all the time, and even when we were on stage, like I knew when it was coming up, so I'd rap along with him, and then like when that word came up, I'm like, and like we were really tight too. So he was like, "Dude, you could say it." I'm like, "Man, I don't even want to say that word."
Yeah, I'm
right. But it's like, you know, as you start, your life starts transforming and you're following God, and it's like, you know, deep buried on my playlist, you know, there's the Tupac song, there's this, there's that. And it's like, I still like that kind of music, what's out there. And then here you came along, and it was like, man, this is refreshing and great, and something, you know. And again, the talent, and you know, I started pushing your videos out on TikTok and stuff, and it was like all my Christian followers are like, man, this guy's great, you know, and jumping on the bandwagon. And it's like,
and you know, and for Ray, do you have any 8 tracks that you can sign for him?
wow.
I definitely take one of those. But I think it's cool with the background that I came up with though too, because I think I have that same vibe of like you're talking, maybe not Tupac or whatever, that's a little earlier, but like the T.I. Eminem vibe. I kind of taking their like,
well, it inspired
and telling my own story with it.
Right.
So I think like older people that used to listen to that stuff and to hear me, it's kind of like, it's maybe like nostalgic in a way.
Well, I think anything that's authentic rap, and I've listened to quite of your stuff. Like it's, once again, it's not all built with, and it's one thing to create beats and things like that, but your voice isn't auto-tuned. Your voice is authentic. Your voice is real.
Yeah.
And I think that that translates not into music, but from a listener standpoint, like you feel more of a connection with the artist because, like, you know, it's how they sound. And I think if you get to the point where, you know, I don't know if there's churches out there that ever have live artists and like concerts and stuff like that. Sean, it'd be great to connect to the men's days over at Heartland, when, you know, we've had a couple of country artists come on there.
Yeah, we have one February 1st.
Yeah. But yeah, it might be one for you to come out, check out, and then see and introduce him to the guys up there, and maybe have him, you know, do something later. But I think that when you have an authentic rap like that too, like when you talk about the Eminems, you talk about the T.I.s, they translate to concerts, right? You can go to their concert and you can listen to them, and it sounds like you're still at home listening to the album.
Right.
Versus a lot of rappers that are out there now, especially on the social media platforms and stuff like that. It's it's auto-tuned. It's not their real voice. You know that if you get them out on a stage or you get them out in a live scenario, it's not going to sound the same.
Right.
And so I think there's a different kind of listener to it. And I think that's just how music is in general nowadays. Like you're either a fan of music, you know, like I like a lot of country, a lot of rock, but that's mostly because I like the fact that a lot of them are original songwriters when it comes to that.
That's another thing too that gets me, like with these rappers. I think especially with rappers, it's like you got someone else writing your lyrics.
Yeah, it's like totally takes away from
What?
it.
Like that is not what rap ever was for me. Like, and I never thought that that's what rap. But now they're just trying to make something that
They're
will
trying to
sell.
hook. They're
Yeah.
trying to get a hook that'll go make a
Yeah.
you know that so that they could get a 30-second TikTok video, a viral dance or whatever attached
Right.
to it.
Right.
And
Right.
that's what a lot of them do.
Right.
But yeah, when you're authentic and you have something out there, I think there's way more to it. Yeah, because when you associate like rappers coming up, like I feel like every origin story of a rapper is like him in a bus with like a sheet of paper or a napkin writing on it. Like that's that's how like they all
Yeah.
started just writing down random lyrics before
Yeah.
they started doing anything. So no,
Like-
man, it's been awesome to hear your story. I hope that you have all the success in the world. I hope that people hear this and that hadn't before heard of you, maybe now start to. Yeah, we'll go from there. But I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you coming out here and taking the time out of your schedule. Appreciate your wife who's sitting there diligently watching, but also making sure that your camera is consistently recording to make sure
Yeah.
that she's supporting you. So that's awesome.
Yeah, she's doing good.
And congratulations to you guys on perhaps
Yeah.
another one entering
Yeah.
the family.
Yeah.
And thanks so much for joining us. You guys got anything else?
Nope.
Awesome. All right.
I
That's
just
it.
want to say that I really appreciate you having me on too. This has been a great opportunity for me to try to tell my story. This is actually the first setting that I've been in where people are actually like listening to something other than my music, like what's behind the music. So it's been really awesome to have that kind of support. And if you ever wanted to do this again, I'd definitely be willing to come on again.
Oh, hell yeah.
something like that.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on again. And,
Maybe next time you can get something set up where like you could play a beat and I'll just rap to it.
All right,
So,
we could
we
definitely
could
set that up
something like
for
that.
sure. Yeah, and for anybody else listening, you ever want to be part of the show, please don't hesitate to comment or message us. Not even just obviously Tuesdays we go live with Sacred Conversations, which is an opportunity for Sean and myself and Ray here to just kind of have great conversations with guys like Logue and others out there. But also the podcast, if you've got a business that you're running, if you've got a journey that you want to share, please don't hesitate to reach out. Support at guysnight.com, night spelled with a K. And we'd love to have you on the show. So with that, have a great night, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Am I cool to talk now?
No.
No?
Fist raised, skies above. Fighting demons, don't give up. Holy war in the dead dark night. Sacred battle